All right, let's get started. All right, good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. Today, we're very excited for a college freshman panel. We're going to be hearing from current college students, sort of picking their brains about their experience applying, but also how they're experiencing college. Feel free to go to the next slide, Cindy. Thank you. So as always, oh, sorry. Yeah, as I said, we're just going to go over a few different sections, ranging from the college application process to the college experience. We would love to hear from you if you have any questions at the end for a brief Q&A. And feel free to message or put those in the chat as we're going along just so that we can see them. Or feel free to unmute, which would be even better. Go to the next slide. Okay, great. So I think it's probably best for the panelists to introduce themselves just because I feel like they can give a fuller introduction. So do you want to go in order? Does that work for you?
Hi everyone, my name is Ogechi Ezeigbo. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but I go to school at UNC Chapel Hill. I'm a neuroscience major on the pre-med track, and currently I'm involved in the ASA program at our school. I'm on the dance team. It's called Zinkiliwa, and I'm also a first-year liaison for our ASA program. And I'm also involved in MAPS, which is the Minority Association for Pre-Health Students.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ameera Badjan. I also go to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Um, I am from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am a biology major with an English double major. And I'm also part of Zankaliwa, ASA, BSM, MAPS, and National Society of Black Women in Medicine.
Thank you, Mira. Awesome. And then Alex.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Adebayo. I'm from Elk Ridge, Maryland. I recently just transferred from University of Delaware to West Virginia University. Right now, I play football there. I'm part of the BSU community, and I'm still getting to know the campus, but it's been good so far.
Sorry, what school do you say?
West Virginia University. I just transferred from University of Delaware.
Thank you. All right, so we have sectioned this off into three different sections. So the first is on senior year of high school tips and the college transition. So feel free to sort of, if you want to answer in order, that works. If you want to just answer based on who feels moved to, feel free to do that as well. What we wanted to start out with, what's your best advice for writing authentic standout college essays? So if you could think back to the college essay writing experience, were there any moments, for example, that like stuck out to you, breakthrough moments where you realized you had an excellent topic on your hands, anything like that?
And feel free to jump in. It doesn't need to be in order. So if you feel moved, definitely go for it.
I can start. Um, so basically, I don't know. I would just say nothing is off limits. I feel like as individuals, there's so much to us. So um, any angle that y'all feel like you could approach from, I would say to definitely explore that. And I would also say to give yourself time. I think mine, it feels like so long ago, but I think I took a few months to write mine, just make like tweaking it and making it um, the best that I could, because obviously this is going to be very important for you. It could dictate your whole like future for all you know. But yeah, I would just say nothing is off limits. However, as you're telling the story, it's also important to highlight how does that impact who you are today? Like how did that experience that you have play into who you are and what you're going to bring? So as much as we want to tell our stories, make sure you also integrate that into the essay as well. That's what I feel like helped me write mine.
Kind of adding on to what Oge said, I really think that you should pick a topic that you really enjoy and something that you could like talk about for a long time, because when you write your essay, it's not going to be something that you're writing like quickly or something. Like you're going to be working on this for months on end. And also try to make sure that your essay it like shows who you are and not like somebody else. I can understand like how some life experiences can like lead you to feel a certain type of way and you might want to talk about that, but make sure it's really overall talks about yourself rather than like something else.
Yeah, just to add on to both of them, I feel like your college essay has to be like you try to make it like as authentic as possible, just keeping it like maybe like a specific story to you, just keeping it real, just not just talking about anything. And I feel like, yeah, just keeping it just personal to you. So like you have a different story because you don't want to have like the same stories as like other people. Because at the end of the day, you're still trying to get admission to the school you want. So I feel like that's the biggest thing, just keeping it personal to you so you can stand out more.
Just a follow-up question, were there any sort of strategies that you guys had for identifying a story that was, worth writing about? So I know you mentioned, for example, it took time. So like, were you able to land on a story after those few months that you were working on it?
The way I approached it, I kind of like, and I feel like a lot of people sort of go about it this way, but I took a story like a memoir that happened to me, and then I took a quality that I like or a value that I feel very strongly about, and I kind of like forced the two to work. So I would say, I don't know, either start with like a story that you feel very strongly about, or just something that an experience that you took away from, and connect that back to um, like something that you've learned or a value that you hold like near and dear to you. I feel like that's the best way to go about it. And the middle, the gray area will like figure itself out. But I feel like that's like the best way to start it.
And thank you. So we can move on to this next question here. How did you balance senior year coursework with applications and extracurriculars?
I can start with this question. I am not going to lie. I did a lot of late nights and a lot of like the sleep schedule was not existent during this time. But honestly, you just have to know how to manage your time very well. Like for example, like you need to prioritize, at least for me, I had to prioritize my weekends because after school I had a lot going on with extracurriculars. I was on the dance team, clubs, all sorts of things. And yeah, I would spend time late into the night, early in the morning, just whenever you have time. And also I just say like start early. For sure, like for me, like I started writing my essay, I think the summer before. So I was able to like at least like get an idea of what I wanted to write about and everything. So I didn't really have to stress too much when it came time to apply. And also, most of the schools use like Common App, so a lot of the questions are kind of similar. So if you can like have a good essay for at least some of the questions, you could like reuse them in a sense.
Yeah, to build off of that, I definitely reused a lot of my essays or tweaked them for like specific supplemental ones. You don't have to start from scratch every time. Like I had a doc that had like all the questions for the colleges that I wanted to apply. And I would tweak like maybe a few sentences like for each of them, like depending on what they were asking me. Um, but yeah, I feel like that's the main thing with that. Also, I feel like at least for my senior year, I wasn't taking that many classes, so I had free periods. like just in the library and stuff, utilize that time. Like, do not spend that time just, I don't know, scrolling away or just doing other stuff like outside of that application. Because especially like for me, I was involved in a lot of clubs. I ran track for like all of my senior years. So like four out of 5 days a week, like I had practice. I knew I had stuff later. And so I think it really just comes down to the type of person you are. If you ask yourself, okay, after practice, am I going to want to spend this much time, on supplementals, writing essays? If you know that's not what you want to do, then you have to plan yourself out to where, okay, maybe this chunk of time I can spend, even if it's like 30 minutes a day or an hour on supplementals or applications of that sort, then that's what you should do. So.
For me, I feel like the big emphasis is time management. I know with me, I played sports like through the summer, through the fall, through the winter, spring. But I remember I did start early with my college essays, like the summer of my junior year. But yeah, I feel like it was just a big emphasis of time management. My mom would always get on me every time I had meetings with Auntie Io, just working on my essays. Like I'll have practice. I'll have the times where I'll have to do my essays. I had the times where I had to meet with Auntie Io. So I feel like just having a strict schedule of just doing schoolwork, doing college essays, you can really balance it out. And then like, yeah, for me too, my senior year, I didn't take that much classes. So I had a lot of free time to just work on my essay. So the big thing is just having like a specific schedule and times where you can do your specific work and then do the essays too. And holding and letting have someone like hold you accountable. Like I said, I have my mom. So she held me accountable to do those stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, that's some great advice.
Sorry, I have one more thing.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I would also say just having due dates, even now in college, just like planning yourself out to where it's like, okay, this is due then, this is due then, because obviously these different colleges are going to have different due dates. People are different, but me personally, knowing when something is due, like it relieves stress off of me because I'm not like stressing about, okay, when should I do this? Like if you have a plan and you know when something is due, especially for something as important as college apps, then I feel like that's going to take a lot of stress off you because you know what you have to do. It's just a matter of actually putting that like into action, actually doing what you have to do. So
Definitely. Thank you. I feel like you guys have actually started to answer my next question. But what did you do over the summer before college to prepare, and would you recommend it? It seems like you all kind of answered that question, but if anyone has additional thoughts, feel free to share.
I feel like another thing, you can also reach out to older people who've been part of this process already, just to get a head start, pick their brain out, just to see like, oh, what they did. Or like if you know someone that's at the school that you really want to go to, ask them how they did this application process. So just, asking for help, asking mentors, and yeah, just starting early as possible.
Great. And then last question in this section is about move-in day. Is there anything you wish you knew like right before move-in day that students might be able to learn from?
I'm actually going to answer the last question first. With like over the summer stuff, I feel like this is like, I'm not going to say your last free summer, but I feel like with college, obviously you're trying to like better yourself and like build on, like have new experiences and opportunities. So I feel like the high school before college, like I was enjoying myself. Like I was with my friends a lot of the time, kind of just like spending time with my family as well, just planning stuff out, kind of like enjoying your time before this transition. So I would definitely recommend, obviously, prepare, like have your dorm stuff in order, um, but enjoy like being free. Like that's one thing. And then also work. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I feel like people said to me before college, like, no matter how much you save, like it's not gonna be enough. And they did not lie. Like, so I feel like as much as your parents might also like provide for you, I was fortunate enough to where my parents provided for me as well. But I feel like also having your own like pocket money, like so you can sustain yourself is very important. So I would advise anyone who's about to be a freshman in college, if you can get a job, get that job.
That's great advice. Yeah.
Um, for moving for me, I think it was a pretty like smooth process because I had an idea of what I wanted to do beforehand. And I feel like that's very important when it comes to like moving in because if you have no idea, like at least for me and like where I was, like the moving process, like the elevator was broken and everything, so you had to take the stairs, and this if you don't know like where your stuff are and like you don't organize yourself, it's just going to be a lot. And I definitely recommend, at least for me, moved in a couple of days before like the first day of class so that you can get to know your campus and like familiarize yourself with everything and also just give you time to settle down in like your space.
So before moving day, I feel like one thing you got to do is communicate with your roommate or your future roommate. Make sure that you guys don't get like the same things. Like you both don't bring a fridge or a microwave because the dorm is small. So you don't want, extra like stuff to be in the way. And there's also like on the note of like roommate, just like try finding a room. I would say try finding a roommate, that just matches your personality, someone who's like clean. There's someone, that you can imagine you can like connect with. So that's one thing I'll say. But the summer before moving in, like I'll say, yeah, I feel like I enjoyed myself senior year too. After I figured out where I was going and stuff, I realized I had to work, but I still had a lot of fun with my friends because I wasn't able to see them after a good like a good like period. So I would say have fun with all your friends before you all go your separate ways. And I'm not saying you will see them, but you can enjoy yourself before then.
Yes, I agree with that. And I also agree that you should move in a couple of days before. Me and my sister, we go to the same school, so I had to move in like a lot earlier than some of my other people. But I do feel like it definitely gave me time to just settle down, go to campus events before everything picked up and like stuff started getting real. But if you can move in a few days before, even just to get to know other people, I would highly recommend that. And then also on the note of roommates, definitely. I would advise do not get a random roommate, like unless it's a last resort type of thing, because I feel like that literally makes or breaks your whole experience. I feel like I have friends who like have, I don't want to say horror stories, but basically just because of like who their roommate was. And I feel like I definitely got blessed because I found the girls that I'm with now, like through Instagram, like we talked, they seemed cool. And we ended up being really close and they made my like freshman experience a lot better than what it could have been compared to some of my other friends who were able to enjoy it to that extent because they were living with people who like just yeah. So I would recommend that if you can reach out on Instagram. They have like class of what is this class of 2030, I believe. Class of 2030 pages of people who got admitted. If y'all can DM, like I promise it's not weird. To reach out first and to do that. So I would highly recommend to do that as well.
I'm gonna add to that a little bit. For me, my roommate experience was definitely the opposite, and I did choose my roommate. But I just also feel like when you're searching for your roommate, like you just have to like be mindful. Like you have to truly know yourself. I feel like a lot of times when it comes to people, sometimes people don't really understand like the type of person they are until you're like in a space with other people. Like um for example, like I'm used to like being in my own space and being in my own, and then you have to think about it like you're sharing a room with another person for 9 months. And also it's complete, I feel like another thing that's not common, it's completely okay for your roommate to not be your best friend. Like um I feel like I found my like close friends outside of like where I'm living. But at the end of the day, as long as like they or can keep up like being clean and just like doing the things that you would want in a roommate, then I think that they could be a good match. But yeah, I definitely recommend looking at the 2030 page and definitely explore your options.
I have a question for you guys. So at most universities, they have students when they're selecting their housing or doing the housing application, they have that survey that they ask, oh, what's your personality? Um, are you clean? Do you wake up early in the morning? I don't know if you guys remember doing that. Do you recommend students just do that on their own, or should they involve a family member that really knows them so that they can really kind of think through those questions in the case that they can't find someone on Instagram or I don't know someone that's going to the university with them?
I really like the idea of like maybe like a family member or somebody else helping you do it. But then at the same time, like it could also add a little bit of bias, I feel like. But because some people like there's levels to because some people might think that they're clean, but then to somebody else, their clean might not be like you're clean. So it just really depends. I do recommend, I think it really does help. I wouldn't go if you do have to be in that situation, I wouldn't go completely random because like you don't know, you could end up with somebody on the complete opposite from you.
Um, I feel like I would recommend to do it yourself. Kind of like Ameera said, I feel like sometimes with family members there might be bias that like comes into play, and I feel like everyone going to college should be at a point where they know themselves like in that sense. Just be honest. Like it's okay to say like you're not the cleanest person in the world on something like that. Like if anything, it's better that you're matched with somebody who is similar to you than someone who is very nitpicky and clean and is going to start to get irritated and pick arguments because like that's not what they prefer. So, but I do feel like you know yourself better than like other people do. So I recommend you doing it yourself, but just don't lie. Like be honest.
Yeah, I would say do it yourself too. I actually did the survey my freshman year and I loved my roommate to be honest. So I would say, yeah, just do it yourself. I feel like you know yourself better than anyone else. Being honest on the survey, I feel like you'll get a good match because when I did it for my school, I got a perfect match. My roommate, I still talk to him to this day. I don't even go to the school, and like we're still like very close friends. So yeah, just fill out the survey yourself, in my opinion, and just be truthful and honest. And I feel like you'll find a good roommate that matches your personality.
Thank you so much for giving your insights in this section. So we're going to move on to the next section, which I know some students are really excited to hear about. So like what it's like to actually live and be in college. So my first question is if you can briefly walk us through a typical week as a freshman. So think about your Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday. What do you do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Just give us like a rapid overview of what it's like to actually be a college freshman. And anybody can start.
Okay, I can start. Um, Okay, so obviously, I feel like your day to day is going to vary a lot based on your major, what classes you're taking, what you prioritize in general. But for me, I know that one of the things I wanted to prioritize was working out and being in the gym. So my typical day to day, I guess obviously Monday through Friday I have classes. My Tuesdays tended to start, at least first semester, they started a lot later, like around 3 o'clock. Like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I only had one class, like around 3 o'clock. Um, but yeah, I would like go to my classes. Me personally, I would try to stay out the whole day. Freshmen, a lot of y'all are going to live on campus first year, so it can be easy to go back to the dorm for a nap, which is something obviously you can't do in high school. But I feel like with me, um, if I hit the dorm bed, like I feel like that takes away from my focus and what I have to do. So I try to force myself to stay out. Some people refer to it like as the 9 to 5 method, like kind of like a job, like doing your schoolwork from those hours. And then afterwards, I would like go to the gym. As I mentioned, I'm part of Ezeigbo, so we would have practice 3 days out of the week. So I sort of knew my evenings would be busy. That's why I tried to get stuff like done earlier on. Fridays, at least at my school, UNC is a very big school. Um, so Fridays, we have this street called Franklin Street. It has like restaurants, shops. So Fridays might look like more going out with your friends, having fun, sort of like decompressed days. And then Saturdays are really what you make it. As I mentioned, I work out. So Saturdays, like I go to the gym. I typically try to get some work done. Um, and then Sundays as well. I am a Christian, so I do go to church. It also feel like college, obviously, you're not going to have your parents waking you up. I mean, for those who are Christian, you're not going to have them waking you up for church in the morning. So, if that's something that you want to continue to pursue, that's definitely going to be something that's like on you. And it took me a couple of weeks to find like a church that worked for me. But yeah, there was also that aspect of college. So, that's kind of like a pretty general like week in my life. Yeah, that's what it tended to be. I feel like second semester when it picked up with classes and obviously during final season, it's a lot more studying, a lot more work. So I'm not gonna lie, you have a lot less time for yourself during those months. But yeah, it's just a matter of balance and finding out what works for you. It'll take a few weeks probably to get that schedule, but I'll figure it out.
A typical week in my life was kind of similar. Me personally, I prefer morning classes. So a lot of my classes, I did them in the morning. So I would be done with class mostly. I think like my latest class was maybe like 1 p.m. and that was like when it ended. And after that, I would just go back. Me personally, I can study in my room without going back to sleep. So I would go back to sleep. Or in other cases, if like I felt like I really wanted a nap that day, I would go to the gym instead. And then after the gym, I would be able to lock in on my work. And then but sorry. And then after that, I would have practice because I'm also part of St. Cleva, so we would have practice 3 days a week. And after practice, I would usually come back and do like some sort of review. I feel like it's very important in college to start reviewing for midterms and things early because it gets at some points you have multiple in a week and then it's just a lot on yourself and you're very stressed. So usually after each class or after I do like all my work for the day, I like to go back and review at nighttime before I go to sleep and just like get myself together. Um and then on the weekends are usually like where I try to reset and then try to complete any like work that if I can do something early, I usually like to do it early on the weekends so that it just makes it less stressful for me during the week.
Well, for me, a week in college, it felt like Monday through Friday was the same every single day. Like I said, I played football, so we had a specific schedule we had to follow. They helped me out a lot because like every early in the morning we had to be at the facility 6 a.m. After meetings, practice, we all had class after. Then you may have like study hall and then like more meetings after. So just like 6 a.m. to like I would say around 5 p.m. I was occupied with just football, school, study hall, and then like meetings. So it did help me stay like grounded and like manage my time well with the football schedule I had to follow. But I would say the biggest thing I try to do like every week was to get my work done before like the end of the week. Cause me, I like to have like my weekends to relax. We may have a game on Saturday, so I know I can't do more, work last minute. So I feel like the biggest thing for me was getting the work done early, especially just like that study hall time I had. It would be like an hour every day. So just banging out work before the end of the week. And then the time to study will probably, there'll be some late nights. There was nights I did stay up because of my major, information systems. I had to study a lot. But at the end of the day, you gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, I feel like the biggest thing was just like getting into that routine of just doing the same thing. And like it does get boring some days, but I feel like it's just like that discipline that you just have to hold to yourself because you know where you want to go. So just doing that same routine helped me stay grounded.
Thank you. So it sounds like no matter what interest you pick, there is a balance that can be created. And what I'm hearing is that routines are definitely something that's really a part of you guys' everyday lives, and you're able to balance both extracurriculars, school, having fun, and making all of those different parts work. But the next question, you touched on it a little bit, but I know there's something that that our students are really looking forward to deciding. But how did you choose your major, and has it changed since you started? Are you sticking to it? Are you changing it? How did you go through that decision process? Was there any support in your school for this?
Um, so I chose my major based off of like my life experiences because I'm pre-med, so just like things I've experienced like through my family and all of that and like the background made me choose my major. And that really made a decision when I was picking what college I wanted to go to because um Chapel Hill is probably one of the best universities like in my state and probably like in the country for my major. And so I just knew like that's where I wanted to go after I determined like what I wanted to do. I know a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people try to pick majors and like career paths based off of like income and things. And I feel like if you try to do that once you get to college, if you're not like enjoying what you do, you're gonna get bored and it's just not gonna be fun because it's honestly very draining no matter what you do because it's a lot of studying that you have to put into a lot of work. And if you don't enjoy what you want to do, like you won't enjoy college in a sense.
Um, so I'm a neuroscience major, which at my school is automatically a chemistry minor as well. I picked this because, well, I've always been interested in medicine, so I knew that I wanted to go on that pre-med route, but I also knew the typical like biology major. I just wasn't really interested in doing that. And I feel like neuroscience interests me a lot more. I took AP Psych in high school, and I feel like that um, really interested me, but I wanted to learn more like about like the science behind it. So that's why I picked neuroscience. I haven't changed all year, but I do have friends who have swapped. If you start out with a major, I mean, I'm sure y'all have heard this before, but it is definitely okay to switch, especially being freshmen. The whole point is to dip your feet into different experiences and to figure out what you like and what you don't. And sometimes the best way to do that is head first. So definitely don't feel like it's too late to switch. Um, Even now, some of my older friends were talking to me about how like I'm still able, even if I wanted to switch my major now, like that's still a possibility, even though I'm about to be a sophomore. Um, So yeah, you might, initially think that you want to do something and want to swap later on. Like that's perfectly fine.
So right now, I'm information systems. I really chose a major because I had a great relationship with my computer science teacher in high school. Plus, I just love this class and I just love the curriculum. Just like coding, making apps, and just like, yeah, anything that's technology wise. So, but I feel like it has been a lot of work, I can't lie, especially transferring to a new school. I even been thinking about changing my major too, just to fit my schedule better, well, with football and those other extracurriculars. But yeah, I just had a love for it. I feel like there's nothing wrong if you want to change your major. I have friends who changed their majors too, and they're doing extremely well. Just like, you're just testing out the waters. So I feel like if you want to change your major, that's perfectly fine. I feel like you just got to do what you love, like Ameera said. So, if do something that you're passionate about.
Thank you so much for those insights. And don't forget, like, if you want to switch your major, make sure to consult your school advisor and all the different people, support people that you have in your school as you need help making that decision. Even personally, I changed my minors a couple of times, so definitely make sure you get that advice. Moving on to the next question, which people are usually stressed about, especially moving to a new state. How did you all find your friends? Like, how did you find your people in college? Like, because our parents talk about their university friends that they have for life. How do you find those type of friends in college?
Um, for me, I think that it's very important to be like social in college because especially as freshmen, like everybody's new, nobody knows anybody. So everybody's very open to meeting new people and to making new friends. So, I just say just put yourself out there and definitely don't be shy. And it's okay to be nervous because I feel like everybody's probably nervous, but um yeah, I think it's very important, like at least at Chapel Hill, like um you go to different club meetings, you'll meet new people, even just like I'm pretty sure like I met Oge in the dining hall like we you just meet people everywhere.
I would say, like she said, join clubs. Me, I got very fortunate. I knew some people going to University of Delaware. Plus, like on my football team, like I was forced to be friends with the people over there. But yeah, like she said, just going out, I feel like you just had to be a little bit extroverted, just go out, talk to people. Like it is a little nerve-wracking sometimes because yeah, these are brand new people that you don't know. But like me, I found some friends just walking up to them, and like I still talk to them to this day. So I feel like just going out, really just going to clubs, maybe some outings, and you'll meet some people for sure.
Yes, and I want to reassure any of y'all who are like stressed about that, like you will be perfectly fine. Coming to UNC, my sister was there, so obviously I knew somebody, but she has her friends in her life. Like I came 2 years after her, so she already had like a pre-established, routine or whatever. And me, I all my close friends, like they went to different schools. Like I literally came in knowing like nobody, like of my class. Um, but I feel like, sort of like I mentioned before, I feel like who you live with can turn out being close friends. I know for me, Chapel Hill, like the dorm that I stayed in was Suite Style, so it was 8 of us, and we're all super close. Like I mentioned, I feel like because it wasn't random, we all ended up clicking. And I'm not gonna lie, that's not always gonna be the case, but I feel like that's always knew that I like had people to come home to in that sense. But in terms of friends, I honestly I do feel like I'm a social person, which definitely helped me in college. Don't be afraid to get outside of your shell. And I also feel like things in high school that may seem weird, like going out with people that you just met, or I don't know. I went to a lot of like athletic games, like volleyball, gymnastics, football, basketball. So like going to those events like with people who like you're cool with, but maybe not the closest, like that might seem weird to ask in high school, but I promise like in college is normal. And I also feel like going out as groups kind of like helps everybody bond. I know that a lot of the girls that I know now, um, they were mutual friends and we kind of like all met, and then later on we ended up hanging out like some more. But I'm not sure like what colleges everyone is going to. UNC is a PWI, so I feel like just connecting with the Black organizations on campus and the African ones, like really getting involved in that will also help you meet your people a lot faster, so that in cases where some of y'all would probably attend PWIs, you don't feel outnumbered in a sense. I don't know if that's the right word, but so that you can find your community. Just the main thing is just don't be afraid. Like I promise people are going to be a lot more because everybody's scared. Like people are going to be a lot more welcoming than what you may think.
Thank you. Moving on to section 3 with data.
Hey, hi guys. I'm sorry I've had my camera off. I just came from work. So yes, section 3. So what's one thing about college that absolutely no one warned you about? We're going through our freshman year sort of review.
I'm not gonna say no one warned me about it, but I feel like just the amount of studying that you have to do is very different from high school. I just came out of my final season, like I literally just got done Saturday, and some of my suite mates now are still like studying for finals. But high school is a lot more of a breeze than college. Even if you excel academically, you can continue that in college. Like, who's to tell you that that's not possible? But it will require a lot more like effort on your part. So Sort of like I mentioned earlier, just like being organized, staying on top of your due dates, and actually finding a method of studying that works well for you is very, very important in college because these classes are, I mean, everything is college level. So it's going to require a lot more from you in general. And just balancing that out can get difficult at times. So, yeah, I feel like that was definitely a shocker for me, like just how much time, like all the late nights I had to, put into study. Because obviously you're not used to that in high school. So,
Um, Something that nobody warned me about is that you're gonna have to learn to, at least for me, you're gonna have to learn to put yourself first. Especially like with like all the classes being hard and everything and studying being stressed, you need to prioritize like your physical, mental, emotional health and everything. Make sure that you're getting to sleep on time, even though you're gonna have finals and everything. Like it's not being or like staying up late and studying and stuff, it can only go for so long. And you're gonna have to like reset your body and also just like who you surround yourself with and just like your environment in general. Um like for example, like where you're living, at least like to some people that can be very important and it can cause other effects. So just make sure you put yourself first and think about what's better for you. And just because if you are happy and healthy and everything's good, then you can be able to thrive and do well in your classes and everything.
Well, for me, the biggest thing I would say, well, I was told this, but I feel like the biggest thing was this how the teachers don't really care as much in like in college than in high school. I had to learn like the hard way, like turning in late assignments. Sometimes you might meet a teacher that might not accept that assignment. So I feel like the biggest thing is just like staying on top of everything and just remembering like why you're in college, because college, it can be fun and it can be a lot of distractions too. So I feel like you just got to remember why you're there, remain disciplined, and just like I said before, having a certain routine that you follow so you're on top of all your work, all your extracurriculars, so you can succeed in college. Because I've seen a lot of people who got distracted, who haven't been doing that good just because like they could be partying too much or they're not like managing their time well. So I feel like that's a big thing, just like time management in college, because it could really things could just slip by like very fast if you don't stay on top of like all your work. So just remember that.
I agree, like in terms of the people as well, just like who you surround yourself can dictate a lot. If you're with people who prioritize, like, as he mentioned, partying over studying, like you think you'll be able to catch up, but things pile up quick in college. So I feel like it can definitely be a lot more than what you may have initially expected. And also, like in terms of relationships, you have to be a lot more intentional with them. I feel like in college, at least with your relationships back home, I feel like obviously y'all aren't going to be used to, having to call your parents or um, remembering to do that. So it you have to put a lot more effort into those relationships with people who you see every day, like back home. So I'd say there's that too.
Thank you for sharing and chiming in when the spirit moved you to speak. That's necessary. I'm going to merge our last two questions so that we have enough time for a brief Q&A with our participants who have spent their time listening to you all. Thank you for being here again. So what is one mistake that you made your freshman year that others can learn that you would tell your high school self right now? That's what I'm trying to say. What is one mistake you made your freshman year that you would warn your high school self about right now? You guys get the question? Basically, a mistake that you can learn from and advice for your high school self. You can sort of answer the question with both of those ideas. And it can be a small mistake. It doesn't have to be a life-altering mistake. It could have been you forgot to put one of your midterms on your calendar, so you started studying 2 days before. Happens to the best of us.
Or just general advice you give yourself?
Okay. I don't know. I feel like I was pretty like I feel like I've always been pretty like oriented. So not that I didn't make any mistakes, but I guess maybe the main thing was getting too carried away with people that I got closer with. Like staying up late when I didn't have to, like I'm not gonna say it wasn't really FOMO, but I feel like some nights when I knew like, okay, I have like assignments due or I have this like in the morning and I still stayed up, I feel like it definitely like got up to me. And I feel like also just I honestly this year I did not prioritize my sleep enough. Um and I feel like that also caught up to me because I had a 9 a.m. this semester, but 9 a.m. is in like starting school at 9 in high school is different than college. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like such a drag sometimes to just get up out of your bed and go to class. So there were some days like I literally overslept just because I was sleep deprived. And that's because like my priorities sometimes the night before just like was not straight. And I thought, because this is the class attendance doesn't count. Like it's fine if I don't go, I'll just catch up on the slideshows like later. That kind of ties into what I said earlier. Like you think you'll be able to catch up and then it catches up to you. But yeah, I had like an upcoming quiz and just I did not do well on it. I feel like that's also like a culture shock in college, just on certain things that you were able to ace in high school. Um, like maybe not doing the best on a test or getting a grade on a quiz that you've never gotten before. So I feel like you definitely have to learn how to give yourself grace and understand like um, just freshman year as a whole is a big like adjustment. So you're going to learn from a lot of things that you do. So I feel like giving yourself grace in that aspect. But yeah, I feel like that's the main thing, just not prioritizing sleep and skipping classes because of that. That was like my main thing.
For me, I would say it would be two things. I would say like burnout and just like priorities. I know with me, my freshman year, I didn't, since I played football, I feel like I focused more on football more than school. And I feel like that caught up to me a little bit. So I would have told myself just, remember like why like you're a student athlete, you got to put school first before everything. And just doing my work before I focused on like going to meetings or practice. I feel like that's one thing I didn't prioritize that much my freshman year because I was thinking, oh, I'm a football player, I can just do this and that and then worry about school. But I had to learn that the hard way. And just like I said with burning it out too, I also did ROTC my freshman year too. So with that, but doing ROTC, being an engineer major and playing football, I was like exhausted. So that's one thing I would have told myself too, just to not like do too much because you have your work cut out for you already, and like remember why you're even there for the schoolwork. So do just focusing, just prioritizing your schoolwork and school first, and then the extracurriculars, and making sure, like I said, with the time management, just balancing that better. Because that's one thing I had to learn the hard way and just like progressively get better as I got older.
One thing that I've learned is probably just to start early, like start doing your work early, start studying early. Um, just stay on top of things from the get-go because at some point you are gonna want to go out, you're gonna want to hang with your friends. And if you don't have those things done, you're either gonna turn it in late, which could be a penalty, or you're just gonna fall behind after a while. And yeah, just it's just important to start early. And another thing is just be mindful and wise on who you choose to surround yourself with. And Yeah, like because they are gonna be who you're with. Like you're with these people all the time, most likely once you have like your group of friends and you're gonna like want to go out with them and everything. And then if they're the type where they're like ruining your mood or something, that can just also move into effect with your schoolwork and just things like that. But yeah.
Thank you all for sharing. I just want to attest to Alex's point on burning out. It's way easier to do that than you think. And oftentimes it happens with people who struggle with imposter syndrome. If you don't know what that is, something to look up and be aware of before college. Um, but just keeping in mind that it's your first year, take your time to acclimate. Okay, with that being said, we only have a couple of minutes to do a Q&A. I don't see any questions in the big chat, but I do have some questions that were sent in privately. Um, for this Q&A, we're going to keep it so brief. So if you could keep your answers as brief as possible and maybe one person to an answer, so someone who feels really provoked to speak, just go for it. That would help us on the time. Okay, so one of the questions that we received was, how did you seek help when you were struggling in class? Was it from a professor, advisor, mentor, another student?
I feel like my main thing was office hours. There's so many resources available to you. It's just a matter of actually utilizing them. You do not have to struggle in silence. I feel like I did that for this coding class that I'm required to take for my major. But as soon as I went to office hours, like things just started to click. So I would say just utilizing that. Be aware of when the hours are, because they can help a lot more than what y'all might think.
For Alex, what made you decide to transfer? And what is your advice for students who want to be an athlete in college?
So what made me transfer was my cornerback coach who recruited me to the University of Delaware. He actually left for a job at Clemson, and I just had a very good relationship with him. He was like the main person that helped me get to the University of Delaware. So once he left, I was like, do I really want to stay here? And so it was just that personal relationship I had with him because he treated us like my whole position group like a family. So yeah, that was the reason why I transferred to West Virginia. And just like advice for student athlete, I feel like you just for someone who wants to be a student athlete, it's all about just like the hard work. It's all about the hard work that you put in, all those late nights, all the times you go to the gym, all this like, because once you get there to like that Division 1 school or whatever division you go to, like it's really a blessing because you get a lot of benefits. You can get like free food, you can get, like I said, study hall, free tutors. So, like I said, just putting in the work behind the scenes when no one's looking, you'll get there if you just stay down and trust God.
Thank you. One other question that we received, and I'm going to gear this towards Ameera, but how did you manage to go to such a big school?
Um, how did I make? I feel like just like, especially like with the class sizes, you just start to adapt and realize that there are going to be lots of people around and that you have to just make yourself known. Like for me, example, like I like to create a relationship with my teachers and sit in like an area where I know that I can focus in the classroom and try to not let the number specifically affect who I am. And also like that is also a good thing because there's just so many different people in your same position. So if you ever need help or anything, like there's just always someone who's like either been there, going through the same thing, or just anything that you would need like in regards to help. Like there's just so many resources.
That's the biggest benefit of, I think, going to a larger school and a great school at that. Lots of resources. In the chat, Osara was very brave and he asked, or they asked, how did you deal with moving far from home? I think only a couple of you. I mean, I forgot where you said you were from. You weren't from North Carolina, were you?
No, I live like 40 minutes away from campus, so I'm
Okay,
not the
so
best for this question.
so that would be more towards Alex, I guess.
Yeah, I can answer it because my first school, I was an hour away at University of Delaware at West Virginia. I'm 3 hours and like 30 minutes. But how I dealt with it, to be honest, like I was fine with it. I still talk to my mom every day. I talk to my family like, throughout the week. So if you ever get like homesick and stuff, remember they're just one call away. Um, but but yeah, moving far from home, it was like a big change because like being at West Virginia is not the same as being at Maryland. So you had to really adjust to like, how the way people are and stuff. But I wouldn't say it's that bad. Like you shouldn't be scared to go out of state because at the end of the day, you'll meet your people, you'll meet the people that you like. So and like I said, if you ever get homesick, those people are a call away. I still talk to my friends from home like nearly every day when I was at West Virginia. So you'll be fine. It's not nothing to be worried about.
Um, we also received one more question via DM, asking, and I think I might just take the liberty of answering this one because it's kind of a quick answer, but is it easy to get food during the day on campus, or do you have to plan around it since you can't just grab something like you would from a fridge at home? Campuses have dining halls, plenty of dining halls, typically more than one. And so you just kind of plan your schedule around that. In between your classes, you grab something. It really comes down to your class schedule, honestly, because there's always going to be a dining hall open. They can't make their students starve. So hope that answers your question. Before we move on to closing, do we have any other questions? This is a big group. I'm surprised we only had a couple.
Definitely take advantage of it because these are students who are where you're going to be in a few months. So definitely ask any
Yeah.
questions. Like no question is a bad question.
Okay. Well, that's it. I guess we'll move on to closing. Thank you all for being here. Freshman year, sophomore year, those are really difficult transition years. So we acknowledge that you're taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us. Um, US College Experts, I want to thank you on behalf of US College Experts for being here and taking time out of your schedules. Um, and providing advice to our scholars in our inaugural program. We hope to do this again. Oh,
I have one last question.
yes. Will your SAT and ACT scores have a lot of weight in your application? Um, yes and no. It's holistic. So it's important to score well to add to your profile, but there are other parts of your admission that are important as well. Um, but it's a big part. So if you choose to submit your scores, it's in your best interest to do as best as you can. Antia, do you have any other last words? Okay. Well, before we officially depart, I want to take the time to quickly ask our college mentor students, our participants. Well, one, can you give like a little round of applause to our panelists because they did such an excellent job, and they're here for you all, taking time out of their day for you all. Um, yes, much love. Freshman year, such wise advice, and it's just gonna keep coming. And I'm telling you now, it's gonna fly by. The other day, I went back to my campus and someone asked me, "What year did you graduate?" I'm 1 year after grad. In 15 days, it would be one full year after graduation. And people are asking me what year I graduated. Freshman, mind you. So you're gonna feel old in a minute. You guys are gonna be mentors on your campuses, leaders on your campuses. So thank you so much for privying our young scholars to your accomplishments. That being said, for our scholarship mentorship cohort, I know there's some folks in here who are not a part of it, but for those of you who are a part of it, please take the time to fill out this form that I'm dropping in the chat right now. We want to know what needs to change and what needs to stay and what needs to stop. So please take the time to fill this out so we know how we can best serve you all in the future, um, what skills you're interested in learning, maybe topics we haven't covered and don't plan to cover that you really want to know. Um, and just help us figure out a way to make this program more robust for you. We'll send it in the group chat as well. Please try and fill it out by the end of the week, so that we can debrief it during our next session. Any other final words? Okay.
Ogechi, Alex, and Ameera, thank you so much for joining us. The information you shared tonight was very, very helpful for the students. And I know this is finals period, and I don't take this time for granted that you decided to share about your college experience with us. God bless you. And I pray that you guys will do well on your final exams in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And then thank you for having me.
Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Timmy, you can stop the recording.